Hi, we are live. This is Sober Patrol, Sober Army podcast, and I'm here with Sue Anna Shaddix from what
Spokane, Washington.
Spokane, Washington, and she's going to tell us her journey and story through recovery and addiction, or addiction and recovery, I guess you would
Yeah.
say.
Yes. Yes.
So, how are you doing today?
I am doing well. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well,
Yeah.
you never know when it might be vital for someone to hear your story. So,
You never do know, right?
right. Did you have a
Okay.
good
My
day?
name. Are you ready for me to go?
Absolutely. Let's do
Okay.
it.
All right. Well, as she said, my name is Suanna Shaddix, and I live in Spokane, Washington. And I will be 55 years old tomorrow.
Oh, happy
And
birthday.
thank you. I have struggled on and off with methamphetamine for the past 36 years. I started using when I was 16 and would get clean on and off throughout my years. So what happened to me was when I was 16 years old, I ended up running away from home because things got a little bit too really highly dysfunctional for me, and my parents were really overprotective over us girls, and so all my other sisters ran away, so I ran away too. You know, um, my thing was is that I did drugs the first time. I never smoked cigarettes. I did drink, never smoked cigarettes. Never did any of that kind of stuff. Um, the first time I started doing drugs was when I was 15 years old, and I just would do them here and there periodically, um, and they would take me into some really dark places. I never had children till I was in my 20s. I have, and even throughout my pregnancy, my two boys are my youngest ones, and my daughter is a methamphetamine baby. I am very thankful and very blessed that she had no complications due um, hiccups along the way from my drug use.
Right.
I went to the doctor probably twice when I was pregnant, and that was it. I honestly did
Wow.
not want to. I'm not going to lie to you. I did not want to have a baby, um, um, and I honestly tried to quit, but early. I'm not justifying my. Well, I'm an addict. I was an addict back then,
Right.
and that's all I cared about was getting high. Um,
Right.
and they would all say thanks to my husband at the time, she really needs to quit. She's getting out there, she's getting pregnant, she's, I mean, like, out there. And but the dope dealers would never ever say anything to my face. They'd always say it to my husband at the time. And I was very thankful that when she was born, she did have to spend a couple of days in the ICU, and all these things hooked up to her, little oxygen in her nose and stuff like
Yes.
that. She's my best friend today. I'm very blessed to have her in my life. She does know that she was a meth baby. She does know that I, at the time, did not want to have another child, because
Right.
they're a huge responsibility, seriously. And I was just a
Oh, yeah.
strung out druggie at the time. Um, in my addiction, I was not a nice person. I would bounce from multiple relationships, been married multiple times, and I was very selfish and self centered. I was a whore. Um, um, no matter what I did, I was never satisfied, you
Right.
know, and
That's an addiction in itself.
I
Me
knew
neither.
no matter what, I always knew that I could always go back home. My parents always kept the door open for me. And I used that to my advantage. I did not know that I was a manipulator, but as I learned later when I got clean, that's exactly what I was doing to my parents, is I was manipulating them. Um, let's see. I wasn't raised. I'm going to start all over. Okay, I wasn't raised
Oh, fine.
in a good home. My parents were. My dad was an alcoholic. My mom, and very abusive towards my mom. So I grew up in a home that was highly dysfunctional that way. My dad would get drunk. My mom would take off and leave with the other children, and I was always left at home because I was not hers. So I was left in an environment of a drunken dad. I don't remember a lot of my childhood. I blocked it all out. Um, and I can only go from there. So then, fast forward to when I ran away from home. I met my first husband when I was 16 years old. Didn't do drugs for a while, but then with my daughter, started using in 1993 and continued on. Got clean for a little while, ended up leaving my husband with the three kids. Actually, not the first time. I left my husband and just took off in the middle of the night with a dope dealer. Came to Spokane and was hitting the streets. And I just knew that that wasn't the lifestyle that I wanted to live. I missed being a mom and I missed being at home. So I called my mom and asked her if she'd come pick me up. And she did. She came to Spokane and picked me up. And by the way, that was my birth mom that came and picked me up. She put me up for adoption as soon as I was born. So she came, picked me up, and she spent like 3 days with me. And she told me that she didn't know what to do with me, so she needed to take me to my dad's. And so upon going to my dad's house, my husband at the time worked for my dad. And the story was that I was strung out on meth. I was shooting it up and I was just this horrible person. Some of the things that were spoken about me were true. Some of the things were lies. I wanted to hide my addiction from my parents because I was ashamed of myself. And I also knew that um, I would get rejected if they knew the truth about me. So I lied and lied and lied and lied until they took me to the hospital to get me tested, and I tested positive for methamphetamine and for pot. And from there, they took me to NA. My dad hired an attorney, got my kids for me because I had abandoned them, and my dad got my kids back for me. Um, and I stayed there, and I did really good for about 6 or 7 months. That's when my sister introduced me to the Lord Jesus Christ and took me to a Women of Faith concert, took me to church. So I dove right into church and was doing really, really, really good. Accepted the Lord into my heart, but I still wanted both worlds. I wanted to do what Sue wanted to do, when she wanted to do it, and how she wanted to do it. But yet I wanted to be this Bible thumper over here, but was still
Right.
was scaring me, you know? It scared
Right.
me wanting to follow Jesus. And why would I want to give up what I was used to follow the Lord and not know what I was going to get myself into?
Right.
Silly.
No, it's not that uncommon actually. I
Really?
think no, it's not that uncommon. It's the
And
addict behavior, it's the addict mentality, it's all of that. And then it tries to drag you back down to where you've been. And so that's actually not that uncommon.
if somebody would explain that to me back then and
Right.
give me a little bit of an understanding of that, seriously, because after all that, the women of faith and stuff like that, that still didn't even slow me down. Um, I want to fast forward to quite a few years. Uh, I was living with my sister and my brother-in-law and my sister-in-law and my brother, and there was a big murder that was around this area, and the guy had wiped out a whole entire family and took
Wow.
the two children. And
Oh my gosh.
something like this never happened in North Idaho, ever. Well, I was working at a gas station and I was hanging out with somebody that was wanted for questioning. And I, being selfish and self centered, never even looked at like, I could be bringing harm upon my family in my addiction. I
Right.
never thought about that.
No, we don't.
So then, no, isn't that crazy how
We
self
don't.
absorbed we
You're
are?
in such a haze that it's a very selfish thing. We're very selfish when we're drug addicts. We don't care about anything or anyone around us except for getting our drug. That's that's
That
how
and
it is.
sex.
I have a question. Do you
Yes.
have you ever suffered from any kind of mental health? Like me, I suffer from bipolar. I have mental health issues since I was very young. Um, I was just wondering because I'm trying to relate it a lot to a lot of the people that I talk to. You know, it either starts with trauma, um, trauma response, stuff like that, PTSD for the military, things like that
Okay.
can cause. What do you think caused your addiction? What do you
I,
think rooted it?
I know exactly. My addiction is esteemed from, um, my addiction is esteemed from, I had very low self esteem, which was abandonment and rejection issues. And the reason why I had those abandonment and rejection issues is being put up from adoption at an infant age. And the bond with a mother and a child at that time is very, very important. And one might think that that doesn't really affect you at all, you know, but it does. It does
It
some
does.
people. It does.
No,
And I'm
it does.
very strong-willed person. But I would bounce back and forth as a child, as a child, going back and forth to when my parents would get in a fight. My mom would take off with the other kids. I have five sisters and brothers. Well, there's eight of us actually, but three of them lived in Seattle, and the other ones, we all lived together, the five of us. And so I would always bounce back and forth between my aunt and home, because when
Mhm.
after my dad had to prove himself in the 60s. It was unheard of a man getting a child, first of all, right? And then
Right.
once my dad got custody of me, he didn't know what to do with me. He called all of my aunts and asked them if they wanted me, because he
Oh,
didn't know what to do with me, you know. So all of my life, I went through like rejection and abandonment issues, and I did not know where they stemmed from until I was in my later 20s,
right.
like 25 years ago. I did not know. Um,
Well, I know that you're a very beautiful woman, and look at where you've come. You've come a long ways from where,
oh,
and
thank
know
you.
your worth. Know your worth. Never compromise your worth for anyone or anything. Never. You're a
Yeah,
child of God, and live that
yes,
truth.
yeah.
I live by that every
God is.
day.
uh, yeah. So when you find I want to, my addiction has taken me down some dark places. As a direct result from my addiction, my daughter was raped by one of the dope dealers,
Mm.
and unfortunately, I've grown since then, and she has too. But I did not believe her. I did not believe her. I did not take her side in the situation at all. I know people might pass judgment on me for this situation, but this is part of my story.
It's
Um,
your story, and it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks about it. I have a lot of relatable things to your story, the drug use, the abandonment issues, the things like that. So
mhm.
I can relate to that.
Yeah,
But you're not alone in this. Do you work a program? Do you, like you
I
said something
do.
about NA? So
I
it
actually,
worked for me.
I've tried NA a couple of times. In When I was 25, I tried NA because my mom, that's what my mom, she took me to all these meetings, drive me around to all these meetings. And this is what I told my mom: manipulation tactic 101. I am nothing like those people in those rooms.
Uh, right.
It's
I
like,
think we've all been there, done that. I was very self-will run riot when I came in. Don't you know who I think I am?
but the truth of the matter, no, because these people, I was like, Mom, those people are cooking dope. These are hardcore drug addicts, Mom. I am nothing like those people in those rooms.
Right,
And so, of course, she wants to protect you, right?
right.
5 years
Yeah,
later,
I
I've
never,
become those
never,
people.
never in I used to judge people like me. I used to judge people like me growing up. I grew up in a very Christian, loving family, and oh, they're drug addicts and this and that. Never in my life did I ever think I would become one, much less,
Right,
use the needle, do any of those things in my life. Never, never, ever did I think that I would go through those things, but I did.
right,
And so I want to be inspirational for other women, especially because I am a woman, and women. women can be difficult. I will just say that. But I try to even the most difficult women I've ever met in my life end up being some of my very best friends because they were just going through a lot of stuff here. We got like multiple things going on up here, click, 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 going on all the time that I can relate to a lot of women. So
Right. And you know, in the drug world though, we have the tendency we don't trust. We don't trust.
yeah,
We don't trust men and we don't certainly don't trust women. You
right.
know.
They
And
either take something from you or they steal from you or they do these that world is cruel and it's devastating. The
it's
things
true.
that we do, I mean, I've ran from the cops. I mean, you name it, I've probably done it. So
Well, I'm a big girl, so I was very fortunate that nobody ever stole my clothes because I was way bigger than everybody else. I kid you not. Yeah, way bigger than everybody. I mean, I'm 5'9", you know, so
me
I was
too.
yeah, big girl.
Yeah, I'm just not big hero. No, everything but hero. That was
So
my mom's department. She got that.
oh yeah, that one did go away. But anyways, um, and then I did AA for a little while until I manipulated my mom. I did become those people that were sitting in that rooms and start cooking dope eventually, you know. I always knew when to bail. It's just something inside of me always told me it's time to get out. It's time to go back home to your mom and dad. And I always did. I always listened to that. I wasn't walking with the Lord, so I can't I do want to say that the Lord never gives up on you. I want to say it
Oh,
was
I know.
him at that time. I don't know. There, you know, I've been in a lot of situations. I've never been shot at or anything like that. You know, I've been very blessed. I've never been to prison. I have only done 4 days in jail because of my addiction. Like I said, I've always bailed when things started getting a little bit scary and a little bit like shady. You can just feel like there's just
Yeah.
a uneasiness in the area. You know,
Oh, you know,
it's time to get
you got
out.
that feeling. What's your
Hmm.
sign?
I'm a Gemini.
Okay, I'm Pisces because like they say there's a little bit psychic or you can just like feel it. You know, I don't know if you believe in all
I was
that,
like,
but I
I'm
mean,
out.
obviously I believe in God. He's my higher power. But um, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, and anybody that's listening, I guarantee that they will know what you're talking about as
Yeah.
well. We've
And
all
you
been in
know,
that situation, and we think that we're unique, but we're not as unique as we think when we go and see that there's someone that's got far more things under their belt or far more worse things than we have. But it's up to us to, they say that you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. You got to make yourself drink. So
right, right. And you know, looking that's hindsight 2020, you know, looking back, I know that God's hand's always been upon me. Always has been upon me.
absolutely,
I'm so
me as
blessed
well.
for that. You know, that's the power of somebody out there praying for me, you
Absolutely.
know, because it wasn't because of me, and that's for darn sure. You know, I did do NA. I wanna after my dad passed away 12 years ago. This is where my addiction really took a hold on me. Prior to that, I've been married 3 times, mind you. Okay, been married
Okay.
multiple times. Okay, so now I'm just single, hanging out.
There's
My dad's
nobody judging you right now.
no.
There's no,
I
just
don't really
remember that.
care.
That's right. That's
I
the
don't
only thing
care.
you got to care about right there is God.
No. Uh, My first husband is the father of my 3 kids. He's still strung out on methamphetamine. He was very abusive and very, very abusive. And I knew that if I stayed in that relationship, I was going to be like my mom. I could end up dead. And I didn't want that. That's the reason why I left with that dope man in the middle of the night, left my 3 kids behind. That dope man did introduce me to the needle, though. You know, fast forward to multiple years, I married Michael. Michael, Michael was a true man. He was a great man. My kids loved him and adored him. Um, he looked like Stone Cold Steve Austin. When he found out that I was doing drugs, he took me to the mental institution and he had every intention on dropping me off, but he didn't. He married me instead. um, yeah,
marry you, take you there.
he married me and he got on fire for the Lord and I got really jealous and envious over that. And then he was a lineman, so he was gone all the time. So I ended up hooking up with another dope man. I took off my wedding ring, and now I'm going to marry this dope man. Just crazy stuff. I ended up going to jail for a DUI because the dope man he's all like, hey, he goes, we're getting pulled over. And I had my feet propped up in a Cadillac and stuff like that. And he goes, trade me spots. And I'm all like, I'm coming down after a long runner, and I'm like, okay, because you got your driver's license. This is my first run in with the cops. And he says, you got your driver's license. And I'm all like, okay, well, here comes the cop. And he's like, tapped on, he goes, was there a reason why you didn't pull over, ma'am? And me being honest as ever, I said, I didn't see you because I'm in the passenger seat with my feet propped up looking out the window. So yeah, I had no idea we are getting pulled over, right? So wait till you hear the story. Dumb. I am dumb. So he goes, man, would you mind
I
stepping out of
can
the
so
car?
relate.
Would you mind stepping out of the car, ma'am? And I said, okay. So I step out of the car, and he shines that big light in my eyes. And, I'm just like, oh.
I still don't like. I still see a cop, and I'm like, oh yeah, I don't have. Oh thank God, I don't have to do that anymore.
He
Done.
goes, you know what methamphetamine is, ma'am? And I said, I sure do. You guys, this is how dumb and naive I really was. And he says,
We are though.
What's the last time you used? I go, yesterday. And he did a sobriety test on me, and I failed my sobriety test, because I'd been up for 8 days at that time.
Oh my God.
And so he goes, go back
That's
to the
when your
car.
mind just goes away from you at that point. Yeah.
Yeah. Mind you, now my kids are in elementary and two of them in elementary, and one of them's in junior high now. And I know I'm going to jail because there's multiple cars now coming up behind us. And I looked at the guy, and I says, dude, I go, you got to take this case. It's an eyeglass case, and it's packed full of syringes and a spoon and dope bags and cotton. And I said, you got to take this. And he's like, no. I go, put it in your lockbox behind the seat. And he said, I'm not going to be moving around. They see you moving around, they're not going to get in trouble too. They're not going to take you to jail. I go, there's 5 freaking cops behind us, And sure enough, that's when Lieutenant Corporal Gura came up to me and arrested me and placed me under arrest, you know. But Lieutenant Corporal Gura also gave me a $5 calling card so I could call my husband in Arizona and tell him I was under arrest and that the kids were at home by themselves and I needed help, you know. Yeah. And so that cleaned me up for a little while, but not good enough, not good enough.
Joe did it for me the first
Jail
time
did?
before my relapse. It did it for me. When they took me, I've been to jail 5 times. When they took me the last time, I just sat down and I said, you don't even got to put me in handcuffs. I'm done. I am done.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that was good for me. I was living in the woods in a tent. It was pretty rough. I was living in the woods under a bridge in the tent. Yeah. Oh yeah. My life went there. I would love for you to hear my story sometime.
I would love to.
It's pretty Jerry Springerish.
So moving on from that marriage, he ended up leaving me because I told him I hated him and I was going to marry the dope man. So he packed his bags and he left me. And, that's when things went down really fast and I lost my job. I found another job. I moved back in with my parents. I had horses. We had horses, 5 acres. We had everything with Michael. It was beautiful. It was great. But I was not satisfied. I was not happy.
Right.
I was still searching to why do I have this inside of me type thing. I did go to rehab, and I had one day to make it to a year. And guess what? That dope man showed up at my house. The very one that I left with all those years before with my other husband showed up at my new house. He's the one who teach me how to cook dope and all that stuff in our shop. And it all went downhill from there. Fast forward to, I just want to get to the part that I moved down to Lake Havasu. My kids ended up telling me, my boys ended up telling me that I'm unfit and unstable in all my ways, and that they don't want anything to do with me, nor do they want to be anything like me. My daughter, of course, has always stood by my side, and she was my little go-to. She never gave up on me, and she was my mom basically. She took care of me when, you know, and so she went down to Lake Havasu with me. This is where things got hard. Things got real hard. The very man that ended up raping her is the one that took us to Lake Havasu. Down in Lake Havasu, I found NA. I found, no, not that time around. The guy that I was moving down there to have a relationship with it ended up beating me up so bad, really bad. I ended up getting meth sore on my leg that was like this deep and the size of a hard boiled egg. Um, that's when I called home to my parents and I said, I need help. And that was in 2006. And I said, I need help. Um, so my parents got me a plane ticket. My parents are not rich by all means. My daughter and I a plane ticket. Well, I missed my flight, and he just checked our luggage out at the corner of the street and left my daughter there. I'm coming down hard, and I at the Las Vegas airport. What are we gonna do? Where are we gonna go? I
Right.
have no idea. Missed our flight because I was so stupid. I called ahead and said we're gonna be late. Don't ever do that. Don't ever do that. You're not that important.
Right.
They're not going to hold
Don't
that
you know who I
airplane
think
for
I
you.
am?
Oh my gosh. So I ended
Okay.
up calling all of his friends in Arizona. They ended up pitching in and getting us a plane ticket home. I ended up going into a faith-based rehab. I did 4 months in there. Um, I got out 2 months later, on fire for the Lord. Was out for like 4 months and I started getting high again. So back into rehab, I went in again for another 4 months. So I did 8 months in 1 year, and that still wasn't enough. I ended up getting married again and to a godly man. But I still had all this baggage and didn't know how to deal with this baggage, this ugliness that I kept packing around. I
Right.
still had this hunger and this emptiness in the inside of me. I was still truly broken, but I didn't know how to talk to anybody about my brokenness, my hurt, my pain. I only knew
Right.
how to numb it so I didn't have to feel it,
A
you know.
lot of people go through that. A lot of people that I know that I go
And
through the program with, and brothers and sisters, they go through the same thing, and they want to feel something besides the pain that they're feeling, so they numb it. Yeah,
yeah, you got to
very
not be
common.
afraid. Don't be afraid to say, "Hey, this is how I'm feeling right now." Don't ever be afraid to talk like that because the enemy wants to keep you down here, and there's no reason to have any condemnation, no shame, no guilt, and no
Right.
remorse. You know who you are in Jesus Christ. You are redeemed. You are set free. You are being sanctified. You are loved. He calls you a child of His own. You know, it's
Mhm.
such a beautiful thing once you get that intimate relationship. And I'm not being perverted when I say that. It's
Oh,
about an
I know.
intimate, personal
I know that.
relationship with Jesus
They may
Christ.
not know that, but yeah, I
Yeah,
know.
right.
Yeah, a
Um,
lot of people misinterpret the intimacy with God, but that's
right.
not. I know exactly what you mean. That's not a sexual thing.
No, it's
Intimacy
not.
with God is a closeness. That means a
Yeah,
closeness feeling is what that means,
it's just
right? Centered.
you feel whole, you feel complete, and if you walk away, once you have tasted and seen the goodness of the Lord Jesus Christ, and you walk away from that doing your own thing, He comes after you. He really honestly does. He comes
Oh
after
yeah,
you because He
leaves the
loves you.
99.
Yes, He does.
Leaves the
you
99.
know um, I have I have a year and 3 weeks clean. My clean day is 5/1/23. I
So
had
proud of
eight,
you, sister.
huh?
I said I'm very proud of you.
Thank you. I had
Very-
18 months. I had 18 months prior to this past year. I've only hit 18 months 2 times in my life. I've only hit being clean 3 times in my life. This is one of the 3 times. So once I pass that 18-month mark this time around, you better believe it's like, thank you,
I
Lord, for
feel I feel the power in your drive right now that you're going
Yeah.
to do this and that you've got, and I'm praying for you, sister. By all means,
Yeah.
I'm praying for you. And I love you as my sister
Thank you.
and sister for life, forever.
Amen.
We
Yeah. I
need
now
each
do life
other to go through
recovery.
these things.
I don't know if just a minute. Let me grab it. Ugh. This is what I belong to now. This is what I work faithfully. It's life recovery. It's really popular in the prisons. Um, and
Is that the, let me see it again.
it's called life recovery.
Yes, that's the Bible I have.
Yes.
Yes,
This,
that is an amazing Bible right there. That's what I
yes.
carry all the time, except I left it at the church and I have to go get it. But that's the Bible I carry.
It's
It's
you
amazing.
know,
I love
it's
it.
like celebrate it. No, it's based off of AA is what it's based
Yes,
off as.
it's based
It's
off
like
AA and
celebrate
the 12 steps.
mm-hmm. It's
Hmm.
like celebrate recovery, but it's more in depth of
Are you part
celebrate
of Celebrate
recovery.
Recovery?
I've tried celebrate recovery, but
Yes.
I didn't feel connected.
Right.
Did
I
that
agree. I agree with that in some aspects, but I really like the book that you have right now and the 12 steps of
yeah.
AA and the Recovery Bible of AA. That book right there. Yes.
Yeah.
And I have writing all in it.
Me too. So today I just want to get to what's going on this past year. This past year I ended up getting married in 2018 again, and I thought that was my forever husband. You know, I ended up divorcing him a year and a half ago. Um, and that was very hard, divorcing somebody that you're madly in love with.
Yeah.
I had the high hopes of that this is who the Lord brought you to. And I just want to encourage anybody that is going through a relationship that is um, you feel like you have drifted apart and that there is no connection, that you're just coexisting together with one another. Seek counseling, seek help. But I also want to encourage you, if there's any abuse that's going on, like um, neglect is abuse, or
Right.
the gaslighting or anything like that, the putting you down, or being jealous of who you are in certain areas of your life. I'm going to strongly urge you to diligently seek the Lord in this and what to do. You know, in my situation, I was told to wait and be still, but my
Right.
pride and my ego was like, I'm out. I deserve better than this. I am not putting up with that crap ever again. You know, because we were in a
That's so
vicious
true.
cycle of him drinking, me using, him drinking, me using. And we were just in that constant cycle of not getting out of it. I didn't see no hope. We were coexisting with each other. And I was going to not like him. He was unfaithful to me, but yet I was wanting to forgive him and to save our marriage, to do what was right, through Christ's eyes. We went through 3 different counselors, and I was the only one that persevered and continued to do the counseling as to where he did not. So then right there, that tells me that I was the only willing participant in the party, and he was not. So I divorced him and moved on. And then in the process after my divorce, I went through the ifs, could have, would have, and should have, and they bogged me down. And I only knew of one sure way to drown that sorrow and that hurt and that pain away, was to go out and get high.
Right.
And wouldn't you know, that dope man from all those years ago, contacted me? Seriously? Boom. 25 years later.
Yep.
39 years later, guess who's knocking on my door, because he doesn't know where I live, but contact me on Facebook. Yeah. And I knew at that moment, I already knew the day before that I was in relapse mode. I told my pastor and I told my mentor, I'm going to relapse. I am going to relapse. You know how they start whirling? I was down at the funnel of this tornado, and I was going fast. The mind wouldn't shut off. The pain was hurting. I was crying constantly. I was in a lot of pain. And it seemed like the Lord was far away from me at this time. So I went and
The
got high.
battle's here. No
Mm-hmm.
matter how bad we want it here, the battle's here. The victory's in the mind, the battle's in the heart, the victory's in the mind. Well, I think I got it backward, but
I know what you're saying.
like the battle is in your mind. Like that's where we fight the most, and we are our own worst critic. We are our own worst four walls that we put ourselves in. I know this because no matter how much you want it with your heart, you just either feel you're not good enough or you're worth or something that makes you feel it. Like you have to be strong where you are at in your life and you have to be
Yes.
happy with who you are and you have to have a higher power. You have to have that higher power, something higher than you to associate your life with. It is your life. You're going to die in it. Nobody else. You are.
And
And
it's a
I don't
fight
want
for
to
your
look
life.
back. I don't want to look back when I'm however old, 70, 80 years old, and say, oh my God, I could have done this and this and this with my life. And my life's half over. Why didn't I do this or why didn't I do that? And then it's too late, and then we don't get that second chance to live one life. So, like, I try to encourage everyone to live each and every day because it's the only day you're going to ever see again. Like today, it's the only time you're going to see it today.
Amen. Amen. And Kat, you said it very well. It is about staying in today. It's staying focused in today.
Yeah.
But I
And
want
right
to
now,
also encourage you. If you are a believer, you get that verse in the Bible that the Lord always gives somebody a verse, and mine is Matthew 11:28. I will never leave you nor forsake you.
or
And
forsake.
I clung to that promise. You know, he is who he says he is. You know, um, my last high was my worst high. I did not enjoy it at all. I barricaded myself in this room. 3 days prior to that, my daughter sat my son down, and my son's a full-blown drug addict too. And we live with my daughter, and I'm upstairs and she's downstairs with her husband. 3 days prior to my relapse, she told us, Mom and my son, and she said, the drugs need to stop. You guys need to quit getting high. Mom, you need to go back to church. You need to go back to church back to the meetings because that's what works for you. She looked at my son. She goes, you probably need rehab. And she goes, we're trying to have a baby, and we don't want the drugs. We don't want the drugs in the house around the baby. You know, and that gave me the drive right there. That was my drive.
And
So
sometimes it has to be that tough love. Like
yeah,
you
and
think that, oh, nobody loves me, nobody wants to. Well, if it was the other way around, would you? I understand why my family completely ignored me, completely just left me, like abandoned me because they didn't know how to handle this. They didn't know what to do. They didn't know. And they gave me that tough love and it made my addiction worse. But at the same time, it also was that tough love that I needed to get them back into my life. And I needed to do whatever I needed to do to be strong and be the best that I can be of me to be there for them. So,
right, right. And now look at you. Look at you now. Look
yeah.
at you now. I mean,
And look at
beauty.
you.
Amen. Beauty
Like we're
comes
here
forth
together,
out.
bro. Yeah.
Amen. Beauty comes forth up out of the ashes. Yes, and
Yes.
that is truth. Um, you know, I'm on the fourth step right now. I do have a sponsor, like the facilitator that facilitates us on Friday nights on Life Recovery. He has chosen me and another gentleman to become life recovery coaches. And Steve Arterburn, the one that wrote the book, he's the one
Mm-hmm.
who's gonna
I love that
who's
book
supposed to
right there.
become life recovery coaches. I On this coming Friday, my girlfriend and I are going to start up a Bible class as well as a mental health, running with Ruth and mental health together, and coinciding with the two of them. There's beautiful things that are happening in my life. Beautiful things. My
Have you ever?
family's been.
I'm
Hmm?
sorry.
Go
I didn't
ahead.
mean to interrupt you. Have you ever thought about like just kind of like zooming it in, like from the side, like zooming it in so that like maybe other women could attend it?
You know what? That's really
Yeah.
something to consider.
Because like this
Because
is a unity thing. This is not just my side or my podcast. We are. This is
Yeah.
breaking chains of addiction together. We are together in this. And I am different than other sites because they're like, oh, this is my website or this. No, this is our website. I want to help other people. I want everybody to be a better them. I want you to be a better you. And I want her and him to be a better
Yeah.
them.
Right. Oh, right here. This is the book that from Shattered to Restored. This is the book that we're whoops, whoops, there, right here. From Shattered
Yeah.
to Restored is the one that is about brokenness. She was bipolar. She had so many mental health issues going
Oh,
on with
no, I'm
her.
gonna definitely. You'll have to
And
send me.
okay.
You have to send.
And
I'm blind right now, but you have to send me the name of that book. I would really actually like to read that.
okay, it's a workbook and it's from Recover, Hope, and Discover Your Purpose. How beautiful is that? You know,
Oh yeah.
seriously, how beautiful is that? And with this one also comes, um, I don't know where the other one's at, but it's about a book of Ruth.
Okay.
And that one's from just being obedient and doing what the Lord wants you to do. Uh, Today I've stayed celibate. In my past year, I decided I'm not going to get in any type of relationship. Did I want to? Yeah, I did. Because,
Of course.
remember when I said I was a whore back then? No, I am a new creature in Christ. That person is dead. I stayed celibate for the year. I'm working my steps. I attend church, regularly, faithfully. I have a good group of women that surround me. I have a sponsor and a mentor, and
And that
you know,
matters.
it does matter.
That
I
matters to recovery. Absolutely.
I'm active on two. I'm admin on two different recovery pages on Facebook,
Nice.
and every morning, sometimes I fluctuate on my time frames that I do the devotional life recovery devotional on there because sometimes I'm lazy and I sleep in. So
I don't know what
there
that's
you have
like.
it.
I can't sleep past like 6:30, 7 o'clock now. Because
No,
I
I
go
don't
to
sleep
work
that
like
late.
really early, but
And then
trying
I
to get
also
more.
want to strongly urge you and encourage anybody out there that, as you get more grounded in your recovery, if you have children that are in addiction, please feel free to reach out to me and talk to me. I have a son that's 35 years old and that is very active in his addiction. So therefore, I know the pain and the hurt that you're going through, and that you know that you can stay strong in your recovery as well. um, yeah, even though he lives in the room right next to me, I know that there's no turning around no turning back for this one here because I know that I've been delivered and I've been set free. I am no longer bound to those chains of addiction, you know. But as you
Yes.
watch one of your loved ones, it could be a
Yeah.
nephew, it could be a cousin, doesn't matter.
That
I
hits hard.
get
Hits
that one.
different. Hits different.
I get it.
And I want to like my children, they're grown, but at the same time, I still want to watch out for their generation. And I don't want them to go down the road that I've been down. I want them to learn from my experience, from my heartaches, my pains, my addiction, my mental health, everything. I want them to address the things. Even though I wasn't raised that way, they weren't raised that way. It happened to me.
Yeah,
It can happen to anyone.
yeah,
So
because you said you grew up in a
I'm not
Christian
special.
environment. You grew up in a Christian home, you
It
know.
doesn't matter where you come from.
It doesn't. Drugs
Doesn't
are
matter
addiction
where
is
you
no
come from.
respecter person. It
That's
doesn't.
right.
It's just like cancer, no
I was
respecter
feeling a
person.
void with the drugs. I was feeling a void that I
Hmm.
was there. I can make 20,000 excuses, but I'm an addict, like hands down. I'm a recovering addict,
You
and
recover. There you go. There you
I'm a
go.
recovering addict that has God in my life.
Yes. Yes.
So,
Amen. Um.
and we struggle on a daily basis. I struggle
Someday,
every day. But every
you
day
know.
gets easier and easier. And the more time that I have under my belt, the easier that it gets. And that I keep God close to me, rebuke the devil away from me in the name of Jesus. I rebuke.
Amen. A couple of days, 2 days ago, I had a thought. And I also quit smoking too during this whole
Oh,
entire
good.
time.
Congratulations.
So
I
uh,
did. I'm sorry if the vaping's bothering you.
it doesn't. I stand out. I stand around people that smoke. I
One
just it
habit at a
doesn't bother me.
time.
No. Um, I got hypnotized actually. Seriously.
Really, that worked.
It works. It works. I'm
Well,
going
I
on 2
mean, we
months.
can, that's the whole thing is that they said you don't have to change anything, or you only have to change one thing. That's everything. It's your mentality that you have to change. And once you change your mentality, you can change your lifestyle and then delete the things out of your life that no longer exist. It's like erasing a memory card and starting over, starting
Yes.
from scratch. You're not starting from scratch, you're starting from experience. And that I don't want to go back down that road.
Isn't that the beautiful thing though? Because
Yeah.
it is by our testimonies that we get to find more freedom, but prayerfully we get to help somebody that's out there. I know I was all over the place, and I honestly forgot that today was Sunday because we took off to go do the zip lines, and I was like, oh, I forgot. I got to be. I totally forgot until you
That's
messaged me.
okay.
I was
You're
like,
here right now, and it's good. It's awesome that you're here right now. I mean,
so
but
but
I
yeah,
hope you had fun, and I hope it didn't cut into your time with your daughter or anything. But
we live
we're here.
together. It's all good. It's
Oh,
all
okay.
good.
But
Um,
that's important too, though. Like, family comes first.
hmm
So,
It does. It's like to me. It's when we do our I put God first in everything. A lot of people put recovery first, but if
no,
I
you have
don't
to
have
put God
God, I
first.
don't have right. If I don't have God first in my life, this one here, yeah, you don't want to know this one here.
Oh, I bet I do. A little more than you think. I'm a woman. I know. Like, a
you
lot
know,
of women just don't talk about it the way we do. They keep it bottled up or they take it out in different ways,
yeah,
And I used to struggle with women and things like that, but I don't today because I am more understanding of them now. I'm
right.
more understanding that it's not a me problem, it's a you problem, and I will still consider to love you no matter what you're going through. Hey, sister, I'm here for you. I'm
Right.
here for
And
you.
I also want to tell you that there's no sin. There's no sin out there that a loving God, that will not the loving God that he will forgive you for
Actually,
whatever you have done, for whatever you have done. His grace falls upon you, and it's a beautiful his love, his compassion falls
yeah,
upon you, and just know that's the most amazing part, and know that his love is unconditional.
absolutely.
Unconditional. There's nothing that you can do or say. I've yelled, I've screamed, I've cussed at the Lord. Yes, I have.
We
And you
all,
know what? He still loves me.
that's right. They
He,
say, I said they say, God said in the Bible that all sin is equal. All
yes,
sin is equal, is equivalent to another sin, whether it's a lie or whether it's murder.
murder.
All sin is
Ex-
equivalent.
exactly. Exactly.
And
I love having another sister in Christ. I just love it. Thank you,
absolutely.
Lord. I did not know that about you, but now I do.
Yeah. I mean, I have a trucker mouth sometimes that I'm trying to watch, and I'm trying to get rid of the vapes, but one day at a time, one moment at a time. I don't have bad days now. I have bad moments, and that's very far and few between. I'm a really happy person because I have God in my life. I
Yes.
don't struggle the way I used to mentally, physically, emotionally. I I'm pretty at ease, and I know God blesses me every single day, and I'm grateful for
Amen.
everything that I have and that what He has
Amen.
given me, and He has showed me how to be humble and to be still, but more. My mind still squirrels a lot, but that has a lot to do with that drug. The methamphetamines really got to me here, to where like sometimes I didn't think that I was going to come back from it. It had me really, really bad mentally and emotionally, especially because I wasn't addressing my mental health. And when you're not addressing your mental health, the drug makes you bad crap crazy.
Right, right. And yeah, and I also want to because the enemy likes to get inside of our head and plant the seed of doubt or fear. And I want you to also know that there's victory at the foot of the cross for that as well.
Absolutely.
Victory at the foot of the cross, no matter what. Fear
Right.
is a liar. Fear is a
It is
liar.
a lie.
Yeah.
Fear and doubt is a liar.
So yeah,
They say when you have God, that when you're around somebody and you're happy and you're content, that it disturbs inner people's, like, it disturbs it disturbs the devil in them, like trying to, or like, don't come near me, and it's not, I don't know how to explain it. But when you start talking about God to somebody and they just get irritable or disconnect, it's not there. You're just disturbing their inner demons that they don't know how to deal with.
right.
Whether, like I said, whether it's past trauma, pain, abuse, emotionally, physically, mentally, mental health, whatever it is. But I've really enjoyed our time.
Thank you. Thank you for
Tonight.
having me on your.
I really appreciate you coming on. And always and forever, we're going to be sisters. And I would like you to stay in touch with me. And we're going to do a recovery follow-up show soon with a lot of the people that come on here. We're actually going to try to start a documentary together. So
Okay.
I would like you to be a part of that. That would be really amazing. So,
after the 18 months, right?
Oh, whenever.
You gotta wait
Whenever.
till I have 18 months.
You got, we'll get you. Everybody's going to be on a roll.
Nice.
Have you ever, do you have My Fight Our War on your Facebook?
Pardon me?
My Fight Our War is Manny Vitale. He's
do.
an ex-Detroit police officer that was an alcoholic that talks to me on my shows a lot. And he's really cool.
I do have him on here. Yes, I do.
Yes, yeah. My Fight Our War. And then I would say, what's up, Manny? What's up, Paul Joey Trainer from Florida? He's a really good one to get on there to have brothers. Another one is Patrick McCone, Push Out Addiction, Push Up Recovery.
I'm an admin on that.
Shout out to them right now.
Yeah, I'm an admin on that one.
Push Patrick McCone.
Yeah. And another one.
Patrick was actually the very first person I ever had on my show. Patrick was, and it was really good. A really good show. It was really in depth, like this one. So
I love him. And another one that I belong to is.
I love his drive. He has such ambition and drive to want to help people, and I love that. That's what this is about.
Is Recovery is Freedom, and that's the other one that I belong to. Right. And it's
I thought you were saying, Recovery is Freedom.
It is. But no, that's the other page that I belong on to.
Okay, gotcha.
It is more. And there's more. We do recover the Life Recovery, AA, and NA. So there's a diversity of it on there. And then on Saturdays we do a Bible study every Saturday too. So.
Well, another thing that people don't talk about is the sexual addiction and the sexual side effects of the methamphetamines, which is going to be another show, another night. But I would really like a lot of people to join in on that one because it's something that's not talked about. And a lot of people don't speak out about it because the programs don't allow you to do that. So we're going to have like a no holds barred, raw, uncut show that's going to have your discretion advised on it. So.
Right. Because that's where my addiction took me, straight to the needle, straight to having sex with whoever. I hate to even, like I said, I was a whore, so from the needle to having sex with, whoever was available right there, and, that's now that very thought repulses me.
Yeah, me too. I was addicted to porn. I was addicted to masturbating all day, and I know that I'm putting it out there, but I mean it's a fact, and I'm not going to sugarcoat my life. I'm not going to sugarcoat my story for anyone or compromise that. That is what it is, and it's something that's not addressed a lot.
You're right. You're right, and those chains need to be broken as well because
it does.
I'm very fortunate.
There should be a place for you to be able to talk about it with other people. And like, I know they have like CMA meetings and stuff like that, but I mean, it's a people that you see in recovery all the time. And it's some people that you don't want to open up to around. That's a more, like you said, a more intimate, personal thing that people don't like to open up about, but everybody knows about it, but they don't open up about it.
But that's the reason why they're bouncing from relationship to relationship to relationship.
That's right. Because they're not feeling that self-worth because they're not being able to open up about it and talk about it.
Hmm.
And you
Stop
have to be
that.
able to open up and talk about it. Yeah.
Right. Right. All right. That's all I have.
All right. Well, thank you. And I love you,
Hallelujah.
my sister. And I appreciate you so much. And I love you with all my heart. Don't forget your worth, and you're beautiful and you're awesome and you're amazing. And thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Kat. I appreciate it. All
All right.
right.
Have a
Good
good
night.
night.
How do I get out of here?
Yeah, you just and
Okay.